Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about mother-son enmeshment. So it's a theme that's been quite prevalent in my coaching clients recently, as well as in my own life. So I thought it might be really prevalent for you all as well, and hopefully you can find some wisdom and guidance in what we're going to be talking about over the next couple of videos. So mother-son enmeshment is exactly as it sounds. It's enmeshment in between a mother and a son within a family system, meaning all the typical things that we see in enmeshment. So blurred boundaries, and in the parent-child relationship, really a role reversal happens, meaning the parent so the mother begins to look to the son to get her emotional needs met, when really it should be the other way around. The role of the parent is to serve the child's emotional needs during this very long period that children are extremely emotionally needy and undergoing their emotional development process. This is often a result of family system dynamics that lead to the mother having a number of emotional voids that she unconsciously, oftentimes this is happening unconsciously, but she looks to the child, or she ends up recruiting the child to fill these emotional voids for her. So this could be needs for emotional support, comfort, affection, validation, counsel and advice, or companionship, which are really all needs that an adult parent should be looking to another adult, either friend or other family member or romantic partner, to meet for her. So often what is happening in these family systems is that the father is emotionally absent, either because they have quite literally physically left the family, or they are present financially and physically, but completely emotionally unavailable and inaccessible to the mother, because they don't have a strong understanding of or connection to their inner emotional life, and therefore are capable of attuning to the emotional needs of the mother and meeting those emotional needs. So the mother just feels really lonely and emotionally overwhelmed often, and so then she ends up looking to the son to fill some of those needs for her. Now you can imagine this creates a lot of complications throughout the son's childhood and adolescence. The son feels emotionally bound to that, because as children, we are dependent on our caregivers for our survival. Quite literally, as a child and adolescent, you cannot put a roof over your head, you cannot, get food on the table, drive yourself to and from school, and do the things that you need to do in order to survive without adult figures in your life. So there's this unspoken contract that gets created that the son starts to feel a sense of obligation to meet his mother's emotional needs, because he feels like unconsciously, he's not consciously aware that this is happening, unconsciously he feels like he has no other choice because he needs her for his survival. So it's almost like an exchange. The relationship becomes transactional and conditional. Mom, I meet your emotional needs and you meet my survival needs. Again, neither person in this mother-son relationship is likely aware of that and able to articulate that in the way that I just did, but the unconscious emotional process that's happening is essentially that. Now this becomes really, really, really difficult for a son, because children are undergoing a really, really, like I said earlier, really, really complex emotional development process that is very, very demanding and requires a large amount of energy and care and support and guidance from adult figures. And if those adult figures begin to take from the child instead of give support, the child now has to essentially repress his emotional development process, his emotional needs, in order to serve the emotional needs of the adult figure. So that's why I said the role reversal happens, and it's completely inappropriate. It is developmentally inappropriate for a son to be recruited to meet his mother's emotional needs. First, because he doesn't have the emotional development to do that. children do not have the sort of developmental level or capacity or intelligence to meet and resolve adult problems. So it's inappropriate for the son to be recruited for this role. And again, he's going through a large and complex and energetically demanding developmental process. And if he represses that, it will create a type of arrested development. He will go on into, which is what happens. Sons who experience mother-son enmeshment end up repressing their own emotional needs, never learn to attune to their emotional life in sort of a complex and deep way. They don't know what's going on inside of themselves. They don't know how to ask for what they need. They learn that love and connection and emotional intimacy is about self-sacrifice. I sacrifice myself, I repress my own needs in order to serve the needs of those that I love and am connected to and am dependent on. So this creates an arrested development. The son goes into adult life with a certain type of emotional handicap and emotional immaturity. And this will affect their ability to be emotionally intimate with other adults in adult life. So you can imagine that, sons who have experienced mother-son enmeshment have really, really strong levels of fear of intimacy, emotional intimacy, because emotional intimacy for them means that they must repress and sacrifice and lose themselves. So they develop a fear of intimacy, which we can also call avoidant attachment. So yes, a mother-son enmeshment dynamic leads to avoidant attachment in adult individuals. Because again, close, emotional intimacy means that I have to, emotional intimacy with a feminine figure is about serving the needs of that feminine figure. And that means that I must silence my own needs, which means I must lose myself. So a lot of times, these individuals who have suffered from mother-son enmeshment will find other ways to cope, having a fear from the fear of commitment. So they'll develop a fear of commitment, a fear of emotional intimacy, and they'll find ways to cope with getting their needs met in more essentially shallow and casual ways. So they'll have a hard time committing, they won't commit, they'll have a lot of casual relationships. Sometimes it leads to the development of sex addiction, or individuals who sort of have these open relationships, but not because they're truly non-monogamous, rather it's just the way that they have found to cope with their avoidant attachment and their struggles with essentially losing themselves in relationships. So we will go on in following videos to talk more about how this pattern manifests in adult romantic relationships in the lives of the sons who have experienced mother-son enmeshment, and the types of partners that they attract and the types of difficulties that they struggle with in the attachments that they do create. And then we will talk about what the solution or the resolution or the way out of this dynamic can be for those who have undergone who have suffered from essentially mother-son enmeshment in their childhood and adolescence, which is really a childhood wound. It's one of the defining childhood wounds. The mother-son enmeshment is a childhood wound, and it causes avoidant attachment in adult romantic relationships. And then self-differentiation is the way out of this dynamic in order to have healthier and more balanced and more secure, more truly emotionally intimate relationships in adult life. So we'll talk more about that in following videos. So stay tuned, leave your comments and questions below, because I will continue, I will add, depending upon the comments and the questions that you leave below, I will add some of the answers and the responses into the following videos. So take care, everyone, and I'll